If we go back to the 2022 track and field season, the World Championships were held in Eugene, Oregon. Now, this marked the very first time that the World Champs were held on American soil, and the champs had gone all the way back to 1983, so this was quite the big deal. And because of this, many United States athletes did quite well. We saw Noah Lyles break the American record in the 200, achieving a time of 19.31. We saw Michael Norman take the gold in the 400, achieving a time of 44.29. And notably, both the 100 and the 200 meters resulted in a clean sweep from the Americans, meaning they won all 3 medals in these 2 primary sprinting events. This was quite the rare occurrence, as a single country taking all 3 positions requires nothing short of perfect execution on the day. Now in the 100, Fred Kerley took the gold, Marvin Bracey took the silver, and Trayvon Bromell took home the bronze, while the 200 meters resulted in Lyles winning gold, while Kenny Bednarek and Ariane Knighton took the silver and bronze medals, respectively. Perhaps it was the home field advantage, maybe it was solid training building up to these champs, or maybe, in some respects, it was a little bit of luck. But no matter which way you analyzed it, 6 medals were earned from one country in just 2 events. A solid day for running, no matter which way you look at it. This was quite the big jump for the US, and this kind of accomplishment has not happened since, leading many to believe that these results may have been too good to be true. And sadly, they may actually be right, because over these past 2 seasons, there have been rumors surfacing of one particular athlete finding himself in quite hot water surrounding legalities in sprinting. And just recently, he has officially accepted a sanction that puts him out of the sport for years. Over these past 24 hours, Marvin Bracey Williams, the 2022 silver medalist in the 100, has been banned for 3 years and 9 months in a doping case, which also includes tampering with evidence and whereabouts failures. Now, whereabouts failures is only put into place if you miss 3 official tests within a 12-month period. And for Bracey, this happened between 2023 and 2024. And if we go into the details on what exactly is happening here, we can see that there are some very troubling situations unfolding surrounding this one power sprinter. So let's get into the weeds of this situation and see exactly what has gone on. Now, if we go back to the early stages of 2024, the United States Anti-Doping Agency opened an investigation on Bracey Williams, and this was mostly because of a single whistleblower, meaning that one person stated that there were issues going on, and therefore Bracey Williams was officially put under scrutiny. Now, this closer look into Bracey Williams ultimately resulted in a positive test for testosterone, and this took place on February 5th of 2024. And the notable thing about this initial positive test is that this was actually conducted by the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency in collaboration with the Athletics Integrity Unit and the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration of Miami, which is more resources than I have ever seen put into closing in on one athlete. But ultimately, this is what happened. And as they moved forward after this initial positive test, they uncovered more and more issues. First, they found that Bracey Williams was trying to tamper with evidence, which is obviously not allowed, but soon after he was caught, I'm talking a few days, he decided to give more assistance to this situation. And while this extra assistance has not resulted in any new names or anything, WADA is stating that over the course of the next year, many names will also be added to the banned list. Now, because of this assistance, USADA granted Bracey Williams a significant reduction in his sanction, as his initial suspension was initially 4 years, but because of his assistance, they took 1 year off of his suspension, and because he had already served a few months, this resulted in a 21-month period of ineligibility for Bracey Williams. However, after this new 21-month period of ineligibility was announced, things actually got worse. While this investigation was pending, Bracey Williams, unfortunately, committed a further anti-doping violation, where he missed 3 tests within a 12-month period. These tests were on August 10th of 2023, October 4th of 2023, and June 4th of 2024. So initially, these missed tests went back to 2023, but they were fully put into place in the middle of 2024. Now, unfortunately, this meant that there was only going to be more time added to his suspension. So they initially had 21 months, but on top of that, they were now adding 2 more years. If we do the math, this means that 21 months plus 24 months equals a new 45-month total. And given that this goes back to 2024, he will not be eligible to run again legally until November of 2027, and upon that date, he will be 33 years old. Now, there's a lot of very strange things that this case brings to light. First, many people had no clue that this was even happening over the past year. Most times when there's even an initial suspension, an athlete will be put on a suspension list announced by the AIU, but for one reason or another, this situation never even reached the light of day until recently. Now, secondly, this also raises into question as to who is implicated with Bracy Williams. Could it be his fellow training partners? Could it be other people within his circle? Could it be people that also competed back in 2022 in the World Champs? There are many questions that this situation raises. However, the reality is rather unfortunate, because as we take a closer look at the medalists back in the 2022 World Champs, we can see that half of them have officially been implicated. If we look at the 100, Fred Curley not only has recently been announced to have experienced a whereabouts failure from 2024 through 2025, placing him on suspension, but we've also seen Ariane Knighton officially be banned for 4 years, and this was also because of a positive test. Out of the 6 medalists from the 2022 World Track and Field Championships, 3 of them have either been suspended or banned, and one of them is now joining the Enhanced Games, which to me screams to the fact that he actually had been using performance-enhancing drugs for quite a while. Now, the USADA chief Travis Tygart, who was also a key part in taking down Lance Armstrong back in the day, he indicated that Bracy Williams was in fact part of a much larger doping scheme, and in this particular apartment, his assistance has been quite valuable. He stated that this case is also an example of the importance of cooperation between the like-minded organizations and law enforcement agencies when it comes to eradicating organized doping schemes. When the rules are applied as they should be, we can hold people accountable while also pursuing additional anti-doping rule violations and criminal charges. This investigation has already resulted in several impactful outcomes, which will be announced at a later date, as the overall investigation continues. It's always complicated to see a medalist on the world stage get caught like this, and it's also complicated to see the American sweep officially be broken down into a much less significant result. But interestingly, his medal from the 2022 World Champs still stands, as his results are only nullified going back to 2023. It always confuses me how situations like this unfold and how the results are taken away only back to a certain date. It seems as though most times, USADA, AIU, and any kind of DEA agency is not able to backtrack to when athletes actually won some kind of big event. We recently saw Kenya's world record holder Ruth Chepngetich in the marathon be banned. However, her world record in the marathon still stands, and now here Bracy Williams, the 2022 silver medalist, still keeps his silver medal. There have been some people that stated that Bracy Williams definitively did not start using these kind of performance-enhancing drugs until 2023. So even though we saw him run quite fast back in the 2022 season, we never actually got to see him running while on performance-enhancing drugs. This is a very strange situation, as it was not published into the mainstream media. But it was also kind of strange because mostly you won't see bans listed out as a total month count. I recognize that it's not a neat 4 years, as this situation is resulting in 3 years and 9 months from today, but initially when I saw this, 45 months seemed so much longer than that, so perhaps it was some kind of marketing tactic to make it seem like he was banned for longer. Either way, this is rather unfortunate. Marvin Bracy Williams is officially not going to be able to run until 2027, and given that he will be 33, his career will severely be affected. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time.